This is the Grim Reader. First off, I just want to say thank you for all the amazing support I got on the first video. It really means a lot to me, and I was really astonished that all of you liked it. I know I said I would make another video in 100 views, but I couldn't wait, so here is 3 more scary stories for you guys. Story number 1. This story happened about in 2013 or 2014, I can't remember the year exactly, but I was living in a very small house, and there was this evening I was sleeping with my wife, and I had a lot of experience in that house. I could always feel a presence or hear stuff, or just sometimes very creepy, spooky vibe. Well, there was this one time, and you guys should know I never suffered from sleep paralysis. I never tried it before. I heard a lot about it, and after what I heard, it's the most terrifying thing you can ever experience. Imagine you're lying there, unable to move, unable to scream, but you can see and hear everything. And from what I hear, what you see is truly terrifying. While I was lying there, first off, I thought I was having a nightmare, but I came to realize I was awake. And I was just lying there, looking at the end of my bed, and I saw a shadow person. Big, muscle-like figure. He was big. And I say he because after the experience, I heard a name in my head. Well, while I was lying there, I could just stare at him, and I felt very uneasy, very creeped and spooked. I could not move. It was like he was holding my entire body down just by looking at me. He did not do anything. He was just staring at me. I could not see his face. It was all black. That is one of the most creepiest things I've ever experienced. I could not say a damn thing. I could not move. I just looked at him. I couldn't do anything. Then, with a lot of force, I managed to slightly poke my wife with my finger. I remember she was lying on my right side, and I gently poked her. She woke up, looked at me, and she could see something was wrong, so she shook me, and it scared me so bad. I was shaking and looked at her. I was like, Jesus, the most creepiest weird thing just happened. This guy just looked at me and was holding me down. I couldn't feel it. I could feel his hands or his body just pressing me down, unable to move or do anything. And she was very spooked, and she asked me who he was, what he looked like, and all I could say that he was a shadow person. It was all black. But then the name popped up, as I said. The name was Michael. I don't know where it came from, but it just popped up in my head, and I knew that was his name. So maybe there was a ghost in my house that named Michael and he used to live there. I don't know, but it scared me so freaking bad. Story number 2. This story comes from my wife, actually. When she was very young, like very young, probably the age of 10, maybe younger, she was down in, she lived with her parents in that house they are currently living, and well, it's kind of very strange what happened. Story number 2. So this story is actually from my wife, and it takes place many years ago, when she was just a little kid, about 6 years old. Well, she was at home and just about to go to school, and she had to go down from the kitchen out to a small hallway and out to the front door. And there were 2 steps from the kitchen to the small hallway, and she went down to her room to get her school bag, when all of a sudden she went screaming and crying up to the living room to her mother. And her mother first thought it was she had seen a spider or something like that. But my wife insisted that it was not a spider, that she saw people in their hallway, dead people. Of course, her mother was freaked out by this, so they went down there, and it was not normal ghost people she saw. She saw people hanging from the ceiling down, like they were being hanged. Men, women, and children, all dressed in shattered clothes from the 1800s. And as they walked down towards her room, my wife was clinging to the wall, trying not to hit the person that was hanging right in the doorway. And that moment, her mother knew she was telling the truth. It was not some fantasy. Well, my wife refused to go down there, refused to go down to her room, refused to walk out the door. She would not go down in the small hallway. It was so bad, her mother actually ended up calling the school and tell them that she was not coming because she was sick. Made up a little story like that. And so they ended up staying home for the rest of the day. Story number 3. So this last story takes place just a few days ago, when my wife was at her mother's place. So they were in the living room talking, when all of a sudden they heard a weird noise coming from the kitchen. My wife looked at her mother and said, "Mom, did you hear that? What in the world?" And her mom was like, "Yeah, I heard that too." And my wife said, "It was a clicking sound." Her mother agreed. Then they got up, went to the kitchen, and saw one of the kitchen cabinets were open. Now, at this point, I must say, they do have a cabinet where the cabinet is loose, so it sometimes pops open on its own. But this was not the case. This cabinet was on the opposite side and was very, very tight and hard to open. So you have to grab the handle and pull it very hard. So it does not open very easily. Well, they looked at each other and could not believe what they were seeing. So they went over to the cabinet, closed it, and my wife took the handle, and there's a little thing you have to click to open the cabinet. So she clicked it, looked at her mother and asked, "Mom, was that the sound we heard?" And she nodded and said, "Yes, exactly that." Then my wife tried to open the cabinet. She pulled hard, like very hard, and it opened. Then she pushed it back in, and they both went to the living room, agreed that it should not have been opened by itself. And I should mention that there was nothing on the other side of the cabinet trying to push it or force it open. Nothing at all. I just want to say thank you all very much for listening to my second video. It really means a lot to me. I just want to say I had a dream last night. It was a very realistic dream. So real that I woke up and almost said something to my wife. If you want to know what that dream was, leave a like, leave a comment, and maybe I will say it in the next video. Also, my wife and I, have strange things happen to us in our current house. If you want to know what that is too, you also leave a like or a comment. And please remember to subscribe and press the little bell of notification. And that being said, I will see you all in the next video, ready to get spooked.